and then we'll start to strip the clock logic off.
So this thing is now recording?
It's now recording. Well, I think the first thing we'll have to do is remove the 4 hammers, and we can see that there is the number 1 marked on the pillar there, 2 is marked on the pillar there, 3 is marked on the pillar there, and 4 is marked there. So I'll make sure there are corresponding marks on the hammers, and then remove the hammers. Operating, it should do, but it is operating on that one, so if necessary, Martin, press that one back there.
Oh, I see, right. Big red one behind. Right.
Right, so what we'll do next is take off the mechanism on the front of the prop. What I'm going to do is pull, repeat. Hold this locking lever back out of the way, if that's possible. It is possible. And run then repeat.
To let the preload off the
Yes.
spring.
Now we'll remove the spring there. Premature. That would be right. It needn't be done at this stage, but there's no reason why it shouldn't be. So we'll remove the barrel on the repeat mechanism, having run it down. So there are 2 round-headed screws holding that on. Put over there. And now the repeat barrel should just slide straight off. That's a very straightforward barrel, and the mainspring does seem to be securely hooked. The arbor, which is squared, is left in the middle. Put that one side. The ratchets we could take off. I should think we could stop the camera for this, because all we're going to do is remove ratchets, the 1 ratchet spring, the bridge for the minute wheel, and this lever which operates the facility for changing from 2 hammer, well, in other words, for striking the hour.
Right.
So if we stop the camera, we can do that. Nearest the front first, and it seems to be that could come off. Do you want me to leave these off or pop them back in?
I'll leave them off.
Leave them off. Right, we'll have a little pile of things with them.
Might as well
You might remake them
to
anyway.
make new ones.
What I won't do is dismantle parts like this. I'll leave that for you to separate that for cleaning purposes and put it up to the springs.
Yes.
Okay, that's that one off. I couldn't take the minute wheel off just now because the arbor passes through the cloth to operate here. But now take this off, I can draw the minute wheel out this way. Just want to establish the direction that the thing enters. There will be a relationship between this piece and the minute wheel, but that's already been recorded. This is in 3 pieces in fact. There's a little collet in the middle there, and these and that. On the back of this one there are 3 of your lifters and a 4th lifter there. When the complementary pair, that pin was missing. I've already replaced that.
You have to throw anybody off, isn't it?
Well, at least it gives a better chance than of stuffing the top before we strip it. Okay, so there are 3 pieces there. I won't remove that screw. You can think about that during the overhaul of the top.
Right.
Next, it would appear to me probably this lever will come off. There seems to me to be a somewhat strange mixture of steel and brass pins, which may be reflecting different people repairing the clock at different times. Generally, I would expect to find steel pins holding bits on, but from time to time I have seen tops of brass pins, and I wouldn't like to be too sure which would have been more correct. I have a preference for steel. Now that spring there, it has to come off to get that off. So we'll remove that spring if necessary, putting it back again when we fit these off. And again, I won't strip that, I will leave that to you. It does spin around in orbit, that's the way it was. I'll leave that. And we'll put the screw back on again. These springs are hardened into blue, so if they have to be bent, be very careful realising that blue steel will bend slightly but will not take a sharp bend. Right. Next I think we can take this piece off, which will be the lifting piece. Here we have the locking and the warning detent. This will be the warning detent, this will be the locking detent. Again, broached with brass pins, but I would be inclined to replace with steel.
No. It's a sensation of wearing a pin out. I think you actually want to use that one, so
This piece off. Locking detent off. Next I think we can consider removing the locking plate. this part's on repeating. These I want to consider before removing, because it's likely that they'll have to be associated correctly on a square.
Camera off.
Now, if you press the remote off.
Yes, around the back, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So, next we'll take off the locking plate. And it's usual for the locking plate to be marked. And in fact, if we look at the back of the locking plate here, or the count wheel, we find a single cut going across the locking plate there. And if we look around the square here, we would expect to find, and do in fact find, a cut on one square. So that will identify the right position for the count wheel with respect to the square. Now, in the same way, if we dismantle the count wheel, I would expect to find marks. On the back here, you notice there is a dot there, and similarly a dot there. So they would be associated together, so that this is associated correctly with the count wheel. I see no reason to leave that dismantled for the moment, so I'll replace it. So the two dots are now brought together, and then these two screws can be replaced. We have already established, of course, that the train itself does have dots between teeth and marks on pinions for the correct association of wheels, though they don't appear to line up. But then certainly the warning is incorrect anyway, so it may be that somebody stripped it and not associated them correctly, or it may be that they're wrongly marked. You'll have to establish that on reassembly. That's that one. Now I think we'll remove the repeat mechanism here, and once again I would expect to find a particular square there associated with the arm. There's no pin through, there should be, so that would now draw off, but I think what we have to do is ensure that that doesn't turn while we inspect for dots. So the way we have it at the moment, if I draw that off, we've got the square looking like that, and the screw at the top there. So draw it off, look for marks, put it back, or leave it off if we identify the marks. If not, then we'll have to identify the right place in some way. It will ease reassembly. There it is off. Now looking at the back, in fact there's both the dot and the cut on the back of the square, and perhaps interestingly there is a repairer's mark in the clock. The clock did originate from Bath, and in fact it's a Bath name. It looks like HS Botro Bath 3548. Now we'll look for a mark on the square to show that it's the back of this that's marked and the square. So I would expect to find now on this square over here either a dot or a cut or both. I found a cut. Now we need to confirm that there are no other cuts on the other three squares to make sure that there's only one position that we could go on. Right, confirm. So the dot and the scratch on the back of here, or the cut, they do associate with the cut on the square there. Okay, could you switch off the camera? The next operation we're going to do is remove the hammers, and we can see that the hammers, the arbors have been identified. 3 cuts here, 3 cuts there, 4 cuts here, 4 there. It is likely that those marks were put in by the manufacturer and not a previous repairer. We'll remove the, we'll take the load off of the springs first. And then remove the screw holding the bracket. That screw we'll replace in the box that we've decided to position the screws. Need to enlarge that hole there something, which means that the other one will also need enlarging slightly. Now we can remove the bracket. That gives a little bit of encouragement. Now the squares are also marked, but the marks don't tie up with the marks down here. It seems likely to me that one would have been put on by a previous repairer, the other would have been put on by the manufacturer. But the fact that the clock, with respect to the hammers anyway, work, I would suggest that we reassemble it as we dismantled it. So those are the 2 arbors. We have yet to distinguish between the arbors on the repeat side and the arbors on the strike side. So until we've identified possibly which goes where, we'll put these to one side as having been removed from the strike side. So the bracket, the springs and the arbors, these are from the strike. That is the ting tang, not the repeat mechanism. This spring here is merely a spring that returns the arbor so that both lifters lift for the ting tang. The arbor, of course, is slid forward for striking the eye, so that spring there is merely a return spring. So at a later stage we'll remove that spring and that bracket. For the moment, let's turn our attention to the other hammers. And let's see if they are marked in the same way before we dismantle. Here we have one cut, there we have one cut. Here we have two cuts, there we have two cuts. In addition to the cuts, I can also see a cross, which would also help to identify that the cross, the scratched cross, is more likely to be a previous repairer's marks. He didn't really latch on, I feel, to the idea that these were deliberate cuts for identification purposes. Had he latched onto that, there would have been no need for further marking. So, we'll remove this bracket now. Sorry, before we remove them, let's take the load off these springs. I don't know if there will be a difference between the arbors, but I can certainly see a difference between the springs. These springs on the repeat mechanism appear to be much stronger. So I'm attempting to take the load off them, but I've got to displace them so much that I feel there's a risk of breaking them. I also noticed that in fact they can be unscrewed from the top here. So rather than risk breaking them, I'll unscrew them. The others came up from the bottom and couldn't easily be unscrewed. I don't think for 1 minute. We've got the camera rolling for a minute, so just let me finish this operation and I'll be with you. I don't think it's important to differentiate between these two springs. They seem to be the same or virtually identical anyway. We'll put those to one side. Now I think we can remove the bracket. Screw in our box. And now lower the bracket. Hopefully these arbors will come out the same way. But the slightly knuckle, yes they are. 1, 2. So these now are for the repeat mechanism. Next we'll be ready to separate the plates, but just before doing that, yes, I think we'd better remove this little piece here. Once again, that will probably be associated with a particular square. I see that it's identified with 1, 2, 3, 4 centre pot marks, which to me seems to be unnecessary. One would have sufficed, but I would expect to find marks on the square there to associate the angle of this lever with respect to the arbor. And that won't pull off easily, so I would suggest laying the clock down and attempt to lift them off using hand lifters. I think that my other hand lifter is out on loan, so we'll try lifting that. To save marking the plate, we'll put a piece of tissue underneath, lever against. There we are. So, pass that on the thumbs. And we will we'll see whether or not the square is marked. In this instance it doesn't seem that it is, but neither does it seem to matter, because I feel we do know which square that went on. It's not as critical as this or this square, so it's not a problem. Next I think we can remove the return string for the hammer arbor. We'll remove the bracket first. What we could do is put that screw back into the plate. Alternatively, we could put the screw into the cardboard box. Well, as we've already adopted this system, we will stick with it. So that screw there is not that one in place. That's underneath here. And the return spring can be removed now. And also put to one side of the cleaning. And that screw can be secured. Nobody throws away our cardboard box. Right. It would appear that we are now ready to separate the plates. Before doing so, it might be an idea to sketch the position of the arbor here. It may be unnecessary. And here, again, the arbor is split into two. At least identify which arbor goes on which side. I doubt that you could assemble it incorrectly anyway. Right, could you switch off again, please? Now we have one more spring to remove here. On the repeat side, the hammer lifting wheel has to reverse to wind the repeat, then the spring goes on the underneath side of the hammers to make sure that they return ready to be picked up by the pins in the drive mode. So we'll remove the spring next. Unusual to have a square-headed screw. There it is. And, I think a safe place for that might well be in our box again. Seems to have some riveted on the back. So if we hold the clock this way up now, when we lift the plate anyway, then all the wheels will stay in position and we can remove each wheel as necessary. So just remove the pins, and for a high quality clock like this, one would prefer to use a brass line pliers so we don't mark the plate. 2, 3, 4, and now remove the 4 pins. 1, 2, 4. Final check. All seems well. So we can now remove the plate. Turn it over, there's another repair is marked there, 1948 apparently. It's done in, it seems to be consecutive years it's been repaired, so perhaps an efficient repair.
Perhaps nobody's got it right.
Okay, so that is the plate removed now, and what we will do now is remove the various wheels, but we'll inspect them in the process and ensure that we know the function of each part and whatever associations there might be, particularly on the repeating mechanism over here. The barrels are already marked S for strike, M for main. The intermediate wheels can't be mixed up, the central wheel can't be mixed up, the hammer lifting wheel can't be, the warning wheel can't be, the locking wheel I mean, the warning wheel can't be, the fly possibly could be, but we'll make a note of that in fact. On the strike side, the fly has chamfered corners. And on the repeat side, the fly is cut square on all corners. So I think that we've now there remove the intermediate wheel on the time side, the intermediate wheel or the wheel that carries the count wheel on the strike side, the hammer lifting wheel, and we note that we've already discovered there is one pin missing in the hammer lifting wheel, so that can be replaced. We've got the locking wheel, which is unusual in that when only one hammer blow is struck, the locking wheel makes half a revolution, not a whole one, as would be usually on a French strike set. So there are 2 pins in that wheel instead of 1. We have the warning wheel, which also has 2 pins. And we have the strike fly. arbors on the strike side, which are held together by a little pin there that would in fact of course turn independently. Continuing with time side, the concave wheel, we're driving an escapement, which we think to be a duplex escapement. The fourth wheel or the third wheel, whichever we're inclined to call it. The centre wheel, which has a broken pivot, and we'll have to make a new arbor for that. The barrel on the strike side. The barrel on the time side. You can see at least 3 scratches M, which mean main wheel. 1 would have done. The arbors on the repeat side. We will find that one of the wheels on the repeat side, which I'll put to one side for a moment. The fly on the repeat side, another wheel on the repeat side, and the pinwheel. And that's the clock completely dismantled. We would now dismantle each individual piece like that for the purpose of cleaning and repairing the clock.
The end.
Yeah, if you turn it. Now that we've stripped the clock, we can easier see the function of this piece here and relate it to this piece. And if we take, as an example, if we take striking, say, 2:15, this will be wound, reversing this pinwheel. There are 12 short lifters in there and 3 long lifters, the 3 ones being for the 1/4, 1/2, and 2:45, and these short lifters, the 12 of them being straight the hours. So, as we were saying, at 2:15, this will be wound sufficient to allow running down to occur so that the clock will strike 1, 2, and then 1/4, but it won't run down any further because the lever here will jam into there, preventing any further running down of the train. But then at, say, 2:30, again the spring will be wound, it will strike 2, and then 2 of these pins will operate, giving 2 ting tangs. Then this lever, instead of locking in, just realised all that probably wasn't on the camera. This lever, instead of locking in the first position there, will now lock in the second position. And then for 2:15 it'll lock in the third position. So that at 2:45 an hour, let's say 2:45, the clock will strike 2, and then ting tang, sorry, over here, 1, 2, and then ting tang, ting tang, ting tang. Then at 3 o'clock there are no quarters. So this will wind just a little bit further, so that we now get 3 hammered lock breaking, but the train will then lock earlier, so that these 3 pins don't come into operation at all. So there are no, thus there will be no quarters. So I would expect now to find this wheel here pinned to to the arbor, so the pin can be drawn and the wheel removed. But this one I would expect fixed to the arbor, and it is, because there is a relationship particularly between that wheel and that square, or this that fits onto that square. If